Flood protection is critical for the Metro New Orleans area, but one local watchdog says there are some key things that still need fixing 20 years after Katrina. Getting some answers today from the founder of levees.org, Sandy Rosenthal. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you coming in. For those not familiar, she started this levees.org to educate the public after Katrina and the failure of the system. You also have an updated book with more things that she says shows how the course, she says, hid and covered up a lot of stuff. And what can people get in this one? Words whispered in water.
Sure. You find out why the levees really broke, and the crime wasn't the levees breaking, it was the cover-up.
Okay. And where can people get this to learn more about just the levee system and what happened?
Octavia Bookstore, and there'll be a book signing tomorrow night at 6.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sandy, and congrats on the book. But let's talk about what still needs to be done. Is there one area locally where you feel like 20 years later, you feel like this needs to be focused on?
Yes. So you and I are sitting in the main basin of the city with the most people, property, and infrastructure, and the Superdome. So for just a few more feet of levee height along Lake Pontchartrain, we could have 500 or 1,000-year protection, which isn't 1,000 times more expensive. It's just a few feet of levee height. And I think we should have that because it's a good economic decision.
Because right now, without that, your concern is?
Levees, my concern would be water overtopping the Lake Pontchartrain levees.
Okay, let's talk about regular inspections of the flood walls and the levee system. That was a big complaint before Katrina. Do you know if they're doing it regularly now? Is it enough from the boards, the levee inspection, the flood authority, the workers you actually see out there? Are they doing it?
Well, after Hurricane Katrina, the Army Corps of Engineers decided to change the way levee inspections are done. They're more frequent, more robust, and more uniform. Not just here in New Orleans, but the entire country. You know, 2/3 of the American population lives in counties protected by levees. But here in New Orleans, even though maintenance had nothing to do with the levee breaches, the Army Corps still decided to beef up those levee inspections, and that's the reason that the local levee authorities are doing a better job than pre-Katrina.
I mean, how often are they out there, and what would we see if we see them?
Before Katrina, it was visual-only inspections that were about once a year. Now they're every quarter.
And when they go out there, what are they checking, considering that we are in the height of hurricane season?
Well, all year long, the inspections are going on. They're checking for holes in the levees, you know, animals that dig holes into them, seepage, which can happen at any time. I mean, they got water pressing on them all the time.
And do you urge people to come them if they have a concern in their neighborhood?
You can save the world from your own backyard.
Okay, this is so true. Okay, the pumps, the New Orleans pumps that are there that help when you get a lot of rain, obviously when you have storms. How key is that also? I mean, flood walls, levees, but how key are the pumps, and what are your thoughts on that still needs to be fixed there?
Sure. Well, a tropical event means the storm is moving through. It'll be windy, but it's moving. The events where the pumps are key is these rainstorms that in May and June, where we get a frontal system and it just stops and it rains on us for days. Those are where the pumps are key and very important.
And my last question to you, we hit on it, one of the first questions was what more still needs to be done. Are you optimistic we'll get the money to do that increase in height that you hope will happen?
You know what they say, an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. Well, fortunately, the Army Corps of Engineers seem to see that, and it's my understanding that they managed to find some money so that they were able to keep doing those levee inspections annually. This is, after all, the most important flood protection system in the United States.
So true. Thank you so much, Sandy. Appreciate your insight and all that you did after Hurricane Katrina to educate us. Appreciate it.